There's just now a treasure trove of transcripts here, Glenn. They remind me of the year I spent as a paralegal. What stood out to you in today's transcripts?
Well, you know, Alicia, there's so many important incriminating nuggets. Things like Stephanie Grisham saying that she was talking with people in the West Wing on January 6th, and they were telling her that Donald Trump is loving the fact that his supporters are fighting for him at the U.S. Capitol. Now, we all know that's hearsay, right? But what, you know, the investigative stock and trade of prosecutors, particularly when they're in the grand jury with witnesses, is to follow that sort of hearsay trail back to the horse's mouth, so to speak, and figure out who are the people that Donald Trump was saying this to, because that's not hearsay. Those are admissions out of the mouth of a party opponent, and they're admissible in court. So there were lots of nuggets like that that I think are going to give the federal prosecutors so much to work with and, frankly, so much work to do in the grand jury.
Cynthia, to Glenn's point, I want to read you some more of what Stephanie Grisham, who again was one of Melania Trump's aides, said about Trump on January 6th. Quote, Grisham, I heard from several people in the West Wing. He was just watching it all unfold. And some of his comments were that these people looked very trashy, but also look at what fighters they were. He did feel they looked trashy, but he loved how they were fighting for him. Cynthia, what does that tell you about Trump's state of mind?
Well, here's the thing. When you try cases, Glenn and I have tried a lot of cases. One of the things that you do is come up with a framework. And my framework was always, he did it, he liked it, and he's not sorry. And I tried to find all the evidence that I could do to put in those three categories. And what Stephanie Grisham has done is help us with he's not sorry. And you add what she says, what we know about him watching and enjoying it, what we know about him saying now, even if he got back in office, he would pardon all these people. We know from his conversations to continue to insist that he won the election when he's been told by his lawyers, by his campaign manager, by his children, by other staff members, his chief of staff, that he lost the election, that everything, it's going to be easy to prove that he did it, he liked it, and he's not sorry. And it is time to move forward on the proving of the charges.
Let me pull out another piece of this, Glenn. Trump lawyer Christina Bobb recounts a conversation in which Lindsey Graham says in a meeting with Rudy Giuliani and Mark Meadows, quote, just give me 5 dead voters. Give me, an example of illegals voting. Just give me a very small snapshot that I can take and champion. I mean, could this be useful to prosecutors, especially when you talk about the Georgia investigation?
You know, absolutely. I think Christina Bobb is going to be spending some quality time in the grand jury with the federal prosecutors. And what that exposes there, what you just read, Alicia, is that Lindsey Graham was pretty enthusiastic about joining Trump's efforts to overturn the election's results. And when you hear things from Senator Lindsey Graham like, hey, just find me 5 dead people who voted, isn't that reminiscent of Donald Trump telling Brad Raffensperger, Secretary of State down in Georgia, look, just find me 11,780 votes. And I've always maintained Lindsey Graham has some real problems in connection with that Georgia grand jury investigation because Brad Raffensperger, himself a Republican, said these calls that I was taking from Lindsey Graham, I was interpreting what he was saying as, him asking me to toss out lawfully cast ballots. So it really feels more and more like Lindsey Graham was an enthusiastic participant in Donald Trump's scheme.